They told you the gods were myth, but what if one of them never left? From the moment you could read, they fed you watered-down stories, sanitized myths dressed up as bedtime tales. You were told the gods were symbols, metaphors, echoes of ancient imagination, but not all of them faded into fiction. One of them encoded his voice into stone, into rhythm, into time itself. His name was Thoth, scribe of the gods, architect of reality, keeper of balance. And he didn't vanish. He waited for the world to get loud enough, lost enough to start listening again. His words weren't meant for temples. They were meant for you. Now, when the system is cracking, when the distractions are wearing thin, when your soul starts whispering questions your mind can't silence, you didn't find this by accident. Thoth's message isn't just ancient, it's alive, pulsating with the same energy that birthed the cosmos. And if you're still here reading this, it's already waking something up inside you. They never told you that the truth was the emerald tablets, written in emerald, a material resonating with the very essence of life. Not paper, not stone, but emerald, chosen for a reason far beyond mere aesthetics. It's not just a gemstone, it's a symbol of immortality, of the heart's enduring wisdom, of something that survives fire and pressure, emerging even stronger. The emerald tablets, attributed to Thoth himself, aren't just relics gathering dust in forgotten libraries. They're transmissions, energy encoded in language, pulsating with the secrets of the universe. And they're not ancient stories meant for scholars or historians. They're keys, blueprints, tools to wake up minds that have been put to sleep by the relentless hum of the modern world. You've heard the phrase, as above, so below. It didn't come from a self-help book promising instant enlightenment. It came from those tablets, whispering the fundamental truths of existence. And what does it really mean that the structure of the cosmos mirrors the structure of your mind? That what you do in your thoughts ripples through your reality, shaping your destiny? That the universe isn't a random accident, a cold, uncaring void. It's a reflection, a living mirror reflecting your innermost self. And you're not just some speck floating in it. You're a participant, a co-creator, wielding the power to shape your reality. But they didn't want you to know that. They told you the emerald tablets were legend, that Thoth was a myth, that Atlantis was a fantasy, conveniently dismissing anything that threatened their control. But look around. Everything they dismissed as myth is being rediscovered by science, by metaphysics, by people like you who are starting to remember the ancient wisdom woven into the fabric of reality. These aren't bedtime stories. They're forbidden knowledge wrapped in metaphor, carefully protected from those who would twist them for control, or worse, erase them completely from the collective memory. And that's exactly what happened. You were never meant to read these words, not according to them, because once you do, things start to unravel. Suddenly, life as you've been taught no longer fits. You start to question your identity, your purpose, your past, and you begin to see the system for what it really is. A grand distraction. A cage decorated with convenience, filled with noise and illusion, all designed to keep you from looking inward where the real power waits, dormant yet potent. And that's why the tablets were hidden in plain sight, not locked away in vaults guarded by mythical creatures, but buried under mockery, ridicule, and misdirection. So you'd never take them seriously. So you'd laugh them off before you even read them, dismissing them as relics of a bygone era. Because if you did read them, truly read them, with an open heart and a willing mind, you might see that everything you've been searching for is already inside you, waiting to be awakened. That the universe is mental, a vast ocean of consciousness. That energy follows thought, shaping reality with every intention. That time is a loop, a cyclical dance of creation and destruction, and you've been here before, learning, growing, evolving. Some of this goes far beyond what we're allowed to say here within the confines of this platform. That's why we created Insights Academy, our free newsletter sharing what can't be said on YouTube, delving into the mysteries of consciousness without the constraints of algorithms. Get it now in the description and receive a free copy of the Kabbalion, a timeless text unlocking the Hermetic principles only for a limited time. These tablets speak of soul ascension, of traveling through dimensions, of meeting beings not of this earth but of this consciousness, of remembering your eternal nature, not as an idea but as a lived experience, a visceral knowing woven into the fabric of your being. They speak of the great cycles, how civilizations rise, forget, fall, and rise again, echoing the patterns of the cosmos. And how in each cycle there are always a few who remember, who carry the flame, who hear the voice buried beneath all the noise, guiding humanity towards a new dawn. That voice is speaking again right now, not through thunder or stone carvings, but through resonance, the subtle vibrations that resonate with your soul. Through the chill in your spine when something clicks, through the synchronicities that are too precise to be chance, through the feeling you've had since you were a child that there's something more, something ancient, something you can't quite name but never fully forgot, a deep knowing that tugs at your heart. The Emerald Tablets don't preach, they don't command. They remind because you already know, deep within your soul, you've always known. But knowledge without awareness is asleep, a dormant seed waiting for the right conditions to sprout. And that's what the system banks on, that you'll stay asleep, lulled into complacency by the constant distractions, that you'll chase temporary pleasures and empty achievements, while the real treasure, the remembrance of who and what you are, gathers dust in some mental attic locked behind 1,000 distractions hidden beneath layers of conditioning. You were meant for more. That's not flattery, it's an intrinsic truth echoing within your very being. That's a fact woven into the fabric of your soul. And Thoth didn't write to impress future scholars, he wrote to activate future awakeners, those who would carry the flame of consciousness into a new era. That includes you. The question now is simple. Are you willing to remember? You were taught that time moves in a straight line, that there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. Birth to death, past to future, a linear progression towards an inevitable conclusion, but Thoth said otherwise. He said time is a spiral, a looping pattern of rise and fall, remembering and forgetting, a dance of creation and destruction. And when you start to look at the world through that lens, everything changes. History stops being a series of disconnected events and starts revealing itself as a cycle, a repeating pattern echoing through the ages. Not chaos, but rhythm. Not randomness, but repetition, a cosmic dance unfolding before your very eyes. We've been here before. Different clothes, different faces, same energy, the same patterns repeating until we finally wake up, breaking free from the illusion of linear time. Think about it. Civilizations rise, reach a peak of knowledge and spirit, then collapse into decay, consumed by their own hubris. Atlantis, Egypt, Rome, each carrying a spark of wisdom, each falling into forgetfulness, succumbing to the allure of power and control. And always, right before the fall, there are voices trying to warn us, whispering truths that most aren't ready to hear, challenging the status quo. Thoth was one of those voices, a beacon of light in the encroaching darkness. He knew the pattern. He saw it unfold again and again, a relentless cycle of creation and destruction. He didn't just teach how to escape the spiral. He taught why it exists, the deeper purpose behind the cyclical nature of time. Because within every loop lies a chance to evolve, to remember more than last time, to move through the same cycle with more awareness, ascending to a higher level of consciousness. That's the real secret, the key to unlocking the mysteries of time. Time doesn't trap you. It trains you, forging your soul in the crucible of experience. But the system you live in, it depends on your belief in the straight line, the illusion of linear progression. It needs you to think this life is all there is, the only chance you'll ever get. That what you haven't achieved by 30, 40, 50 means you're running out of time, destined for failure. That youth is everything, a fleeting moment to be desperately clung to. That death is the end, a final curtain call. That you must hurry, hustle, compete, sacrificing your soul at the altar of ambition. It fills your days with clocks and deadlines, makes you chase goals on someone else's timeline, a relentless pursuit of external validation. It makes you fear every tick, every year, every wrinkle, a desperate attempt to stave off the inevitable. Because a fearful mind is an obedient one, easily manipulated and controlled. Because if you're always racing, you're never still long enough to remember who you are, the eternal being residing within. But Thoth didn't fear time. He mastered it, not by controlling the hours, but by stepping outside them, transcending the limitations of linear perception. He wrote about how time flows differently in higher dimensions, where the past, present, and future exist simultaneously. How the soul, unbound by the body, exists in all moments simultaneously, experiencing all of creation at once. How the past and future aren't behind and ahead. They're folded within you, accessible when your consciousness expands, unlocking the secrets of your eternal journey. That's why the tablets feel timeless when you read them, because they weren't written for one era. They were written from outside time, echoing through each cycle until the right eyes opened, resonating with the souls who were ready to remember. And maybe those eyes are yours, the ones who are destined to carry the torch. The spiral explains why you've had memories of places you've never been, vivid images flashing through your mind. Dreams that feel like ancient echoes, whispering secrets from forgotten ages, a deep knowing that you can't explain, a visceral understanding that transcends logic. It's because part of you remembers, not just from childhood, but from lifetimes, countless journeys through the tapestry of time. Not just from this planet, but beyond it, from galaxies far, far away, from dimensions beyond human comprehension. The spiral holds every version of you, every fear, every breakthrough, every lesson etched into the fabric of your soul. And once you see the pattern, you start to see the gaps, the breaks in the loop, the moments where you almost remembered but didn't, where you had the chance to wake up and chose to hit snooze instead, succumbing to the allure of the mundane. But this moment isn't one of those. You're here, and something inside you is listening, resonating with the ancient wisdom. And if you've made it this far, then you already know this message wasn't entertainment, a fleeting distraction from the troubles of the world. It's activation, a spark igniting the dormant potential within. The spiral is still spinning, but now you're watching it instead of getting pulled under, consciously observing the patterns of creation and destruction. That changes everything, empowering you to transcend the limitations of the cycle. Because once you see the loop, you can rise above it, breaking free from the chains of karma and destiny. And that's when time stops being your enemy, a relentless force driving you towards oblivion. It becomes your teacher, your ally, a gatekeeper that only opens for those who dare to slow down, look within, and ask the only question that ever mattered. What am I here to remember this time? What is my purpose in this grand cosmic dance? The body is a vessel. You were never just skin and bone, blood and breath, a collection of biological components. That's the illusion they've wrapped around you since birth, defining you by your physical form. They told you your body was you, the sum total of your existence, that your value was measured in what you could produce, how you looked, how you performed, reducing you to a mere commodity. They taught you to fear death as the end, a final annihilation. Aging as decline, a slow descent into oblivion. But Thoth said differently. He said, "The body is a vessel, a shell, a tool, a temporary suit you wear for experience, a vehicle for exploring the dimensions of reality. Who you are is energy, consciousness, a pattern so intricate, so ancient, it echoes through dimensions you haven't even begun to access, a timeless being of infinite potential." Think about how easily you were conditioned to forget this, to identify with your physical form. From the first time you were rewarded for sitting still, raising your hand, following the rules, they weren't honoring your intelligence. They were shrinking it, forcing it to operate only in what could be seen, measured, or graded, stifling your creativity and intuition. But Thoth's teachings weren't about surface-level knowledge, mere intellectual understanding. They were about vibration, the underlying frequency that shapes reality. He taught that everything in the universe vibrates, resonating with a specific frequency. That energy never dies. It only transforms, shifting from one form to another. And if that's true, then what does that make you? It makes you immortal, an eternal being of light and consciousness. Not in the fairy tale sense, not in a fantasy where you live forever and never grow old, defying the laws of nature, but in a deeper, more profound way, a truth that resonates with the very core of your being. You, as energy, as consciousness, cannot be destroyed. The essence of who you are has no beginning and no end, a timeless spark of the divine. And the body? It's just your current interface, tuned to this particular frequency, so you can operate in this dimension, navigate the complexities of earthly existence. It's not who you are. It's what you're using, a vehicle for your soul's journey. You're not inside your body. Your body is inside you, enveloped by the vastness of your consciousness. This truth has been buried beneath centuries of distraction, obscured by the constant noise of the modern world. You were taught to define yourself by your appearance, your achievements, your labels, superficial markers that have no bearing on your true worth. But those are just clothes consciousness wears while walking through this world, temporary garments shed at the end of each journey. The real you has no name, no face, no limit, boundless and free. And when you remember that, you begin to move differently. You stop fearing what others think, releasing the need for external validation. You stop measuring your worth through the lens of capitalism or culture, transcending the limitations of societal expectations. You start asking real questions. What frequency am I holding? What am I attracting into my life? What am I broadcasting into the field of reality, shaping my destiny with my thoughts and emotions? Because you're not passive in this. You're a transmitter, a magnet, constantly emitting and attracting energy. Your thoughts carry voltage, shaping the reality around you. Your emotions create waves, rippling through the fabric of space-time, and everything you experience is responding to the field you're putting out, reflecting your inner state. That's why fear is so profitable, a tool used to control the masses. It lowers your frequency, weakening your energetic field. It makes your signal weak and your mind easy to control, susceptible to manipulation. That's why joy, peace, and love are revolutionary, potent forces that can shatter the illusion of control. They aren't soft emotions, sentimental feelings to be dismissed as naive. They're energetic rebellions against the matrix that feeds on your doubt, undermining the foundations of the system. Thoth taught that by mastering your vibration, you master your reality, becoming the architect of your own destiny. That breath, thought, sound, and intention aren't just spiritual fluff, abstract concepts with no practical application. They're tools, technologies, and when used with awareness, they recalibrate your field, aligning you with your highest potential. They realign your reality, transforming your life into a masterpiece of conscious creation. But the system never wanted you to know that because an aligned individual can't be manipulated, impervious to the forces of control. A conscious soul doesn't seek permission to exist, radiating their light without fear. You were told that being spiritual meant escaping the body, floating above the world, transcending the earthly realm. But Thoth said, no, you're here to embody it, to bring spirit fully into matter, to live your truth not just in meditations and dreams, but in choices, actions, words, grounding your spiritual practice in the realities of everyday life. And when you stop identifying with your limitations, something cracks open. A doorway to infinite possibilities. You begin to feel it, that flicker behind the eyes, that awareness beneath the noise, a subtle shift in perception, that feeling that you've always been more than they told you and you have been, a timeless being of light and consciousness. The body is sacred, a temple of the soul, but it's not the source of your being, it's the receiver, a finely tuned instrument. And the signal coming through it is you. Pure, undying cosmic intelligence choosing to have a human experience. A temporary sojourn in the realm of form. Not to suffer, not to forget, but to remember, even in the density, even in the illusion, what it means to be limitless, unbound by the constraints of the physical world. There's a reason your thoughts feel louder at night, when the world quiets and the distractions fade, a time for introspection and contemplation. You can hear them more clearly, the spirals, the doubts, the dreams you've buried, the whispers of your soul. Most people think thoughts are harmless, like clouds that pass through the sky of the mind, fleeting and inconsequential. But Thoth said otherwise. He said, thought is the seed of creation, the blueprint for reality. Not just a mental process, but a force, a frequency, a blueprint that reality responds to, shaping the world around you. You're not just having thoughts, you're projecting commands, issuing decrees to the universe. Every single one of them shapes the field around you, creating your reality. That's not spiritual poetry, a pretty sentiment to be admired but not acted upon. It's mechanics, the fundamental laws governing the universe. As above, so below. As within, so without. You've heard the words echoing through the ages, but do you live with them, embodying their truth in your daily life? Most don't, trapped in the illusion of separation. Not because they're lazy or incapable, but because they've been taught the opposite. Programmed to believe that their thoughts are powerless, that thoughts are private, confined to the inner world, that wishing is naive, a childish fantasy. that only hard work shapes reality, a relentless pursuit of external achievement. So people hustle themselves into exhaustion, chasing outcomes while their inner world collapses, neglecting the source of their power. Meanwhile, the system laughs because it knows the truth and hides it in plain sight, mocking your naivete. If you're told from a young age that your thoughts don't matter, that your imagination is childish, that your daydreams are distractions, you'll stop creating, not just art or ideas, but reality itself, surrendering your power to the forces of control. You'll wait for life to happen to you instead of through you, relinquishing your agency, and you'll fall into the trap of reaction, responding to chaos instead of generating clarity, constantly putting out fires instead of building a foundation of inner peace. But Thoth warned against this, recognizing the dangers of an untrained mind. He said, "The untrained mind is the easiest to control, susceptible to manipulation and propaganda. That without discipline, your thoughts become weapons used against you, by systems, by others, even by your own unconscious fears, sabotaging your dreams." Manifestation isn't a vision board and a wish, a superficial attempt to attract abundance. It's precision, a focused and intentional creation. It's alignment, harmonizing your thoughts, emotions, and actions. It's about understanding that the universe is mental in structure, that it behaves like a mirror, not a machine, reflecting your inner state back to you. It doesn't respond to what you want, your fleeting desires. It responds to what you are, your dominant frequency, the emotional charge behind your thoughts, the underlying energy that shapes your reality. So if you say you want freedom but carry the energy of fear, guess what shows up? More situations that match the fear, perpetuating the cycle of limitation. More people, more outcomes, more reasons to stay stuck, trapped in the illusion of control. This isn't punishment, a cosmic retribution for your perceived failures. It's a reflection, a mirror showing you where you need to heal and grow. The universe is listening, not with ears, but with resonance, responding to the vibrations you emit. When your thoughts, emotions, and actions are aligned, resonating with your highest intention, reality bends, yielding to your will. But alignment doesn't come from pretending, suppressing your shadow self. It comes from the truth, embracing all aspects of your being, from owning your shadow, integrating your darkness, clearing your mental clutter, tuning your inner signal like a radio adjusting to the correct frequency. And that's not easy, but it is possible, a journey of self-discovery and transformation. And when you get there, even a little, you'll feel it, a subtle shift in perception. The delays disappear, the obstacles dissolve. The signs multiply, synchronicities aligning your path. Time feels different, expanding and contracting according to your intention. And it's not because the universe changed, miraculously rearranging itself to suit your needs. It's because you finally did, aligning with the flow of creation. The greatest lie ever told was that reality is fixed, immutable, and unchangeable, that we're at its mercy, powerless to affect our surroundings. But Thoth taught the opposite. He taught that reality is fluid, alive, responsive, that it follows the mind like a shadow follows the body, a constant dance of creation. And the moment you start treating your thoughts as commands instead of commentary, consciously directing your inner world, things begin to shift fast, transforming your reality. You've already seen this, even if you didn't realize it, dismissing it as coincidence. A time you obsessed over something going wrong, and it did, manifesting your fears into reality. A moment when you felt unstoppable, radiating confidence and certainty, and everything aligned, the universe conspiring to support your vision. That wasn't luck or coincidence, random occurrences with no underlying meaning. That was creation in motion, the power of your thoughts shaping your reality. Unconscious or not, you've always been doing it, constantly creating your experience. The difference now is you get to do it on purpose, consciously shaping your destiny. And no, that doesn't mean life becomes perfect, devoid of challenges and obstacles. It means it becomes responsive, alive, engaged, and so do you, actively participating in the unfolding of creation. You stop waiting for permission, relinquishing the need for external validation. You stop outsourcing your power to others, governments, bosses, partners, platforms, taking responsibility for your own life. You become the generator, the initiator, not in ego, seeking to dominate and control, but in alignment, harmonizing your will with the flow of the universe. Because true creation isn't domination, it's coherence, a harmonious dance of energy. And coherence begins with clarity of thought, a focused intention shaping your reality. Thoth didn't teach manifestation to make people rich, granting them material wealth and power. He taught it to make them sovereign, free from the control of the system, to break the trance, shattering the illusion of separation, to remind you that the source of reality is not out there, in some distant realm or external authority. It's in here, within the depths of your own consciousness. And once you understand that thought is the first cause, the prime mover of creation, you stop wasting your energy on symptoms, chasing fleeting desires. You go to the root, addressing the underlying causes, and you begin, thought by thought, to rebuild the world within you, creating a foundation of inner peace and strength. Because that world becomes the one you live in, shaping your reality with your conscious intention. You've been told your senses are the limits of your experience, confined to the physical world. That what you can touch, see, and measure is the full extent of reality, dismissing anything that cannot be empirically verified. But deep down, you've always known that isn't true. A subtle knowing that tugs at your heart. You felt things you couldn't explain. Intuitive insights that defy logic. Dreamed in dimensions that defy logic, exploring realms beyond human comprehension. Heard whispers in the silence between thoughts, subtle guidance from the depths of your being. And it's not because you're imagining things, succumbing to wishful thinking. It's because part of you is still connected to what the rest of the world has forgotten, the ancient wisdom woven into the fabric of your soul. Thoth never saw the soul as abstract, a vague concept with no concrete reality. He saw it as a multidimensional being designed to move between planes of existence like water between states of matter, flowing seamlessly through the realms of creation. And the body? It's not a trap, a prison confining your soul. It's a vessel, a finely tuned instrument for experiencing reality. One perfectly tuned to experience this reality and to transcend it. A vehicle for your soul's journey. The Emerald Tablets speak of the halls of Amenti, not as myth, but as real places. Higher planes of consciousness accessible only when the lower self is silenced and the inner eye opens, transcending the limitations of ego. These aren't places you travel to with your feet, physically journeying to distant lands. You reach them through frequency, through vibration, through intention, aligning your consciousness with the higher realms. They exist outside linear space, operating like layers of radio stations all broadcasting at once, each resonating with a specific frequency. And you? You're the receiver, capable of tuning into any channel. Your soul has always known how to tune in, a natural ability waiting to be awakened. You've just forgotten which dial to turn, obscured by the noise of the modern world. Ancient initiates weren't meditating for stress relief, a modern adaptation of ancient practices. They were traveling, journeying into the realms of consciousness. They were unlocking levels of awareness, accessing higher dimensions of reality. Modern science is only beginning to hint at states where time bends, where light carries knowledge, where beings exist beyond polarity and form, realities that have been known to mystics for centuries. Thoth didn't speak of gods in the way religion does, anthropomorphizing the divine. He spoke of intelligences, consciousnesses, some ancient, some advanced, all connected through the same field we now call quantum, the underlying fabric of reality. You felt it before, that subtle sense of connection, that sense of presence, the knowing that something bigger was guiding you, nudging you, not external but higher, closer to source, a divine presence within. This is the forgotten spiritual technology Thoth mapped out. Encrypted in verses that seemed poetic but were never meant to be taken literally, a code for unlocking the mysteries of consciousness. They were formulas, activation codes for those who could read between the lines, deciphering the ancient wisdom. You don't need a cathedral to reach the divine, a sacred space set apart from the world. You are the cathedral, a vessel for the divine presence. Your breath is a key, unlocking the door to inner peace. Your attention is a doorway, focusing your awareness on the present moment. Sound, rhythm, sacred geometry. These are tools, not decorations, potent forces that can shape reality. Vibrational practices like toning, chanting, and harmonic resonance aren't woo, esoteric practices with no scientific basis. Their architecture, building bridges between the physical and spiritual realms. Just as your phone picks up invisible signals, accessing information from around the world, so too does your body, a receiver of subtle energies. And when you tune yourself with intention, aligning your energy with the divine, something happens, a profound transformation. You remember not with your mind, but with your being, a visceral knowing that transcends intellectual understanding. Memory returns in this form of sensation, synchronicity, and certainty, confirming your connection to the divine. Why do you think modern life is so loud, so fast, so overwhelming? Because silence is dangerous to the system, threatening its control. In silence, you hear the truth, unfiltered by the noise of the world. And the truth is, the veil between this world and the next is paper thin, easily pierced by intention. You don't need to die to access the higher planes, transcending the limitations of the physical world. You just need to align, harmonizing your energy with the divine. Thoth taught that when the frequency of the soul matches the frequency of the higher realms, the gates open, granting access to infinite possibilities. And not through effort, but through resonance, aligning with the natural flow of the universe. There's a reason you've always felt drawn to the stars, a primal connection to the cosmos. Why the sound of a crystal bowl or the hum of a mantra does something to you that words can't, resonating with the depths of your soul. Why certain symbols give you chills, activating dormant memories. Why sacred architecture feels familiar, echoing ancient knowledge. You've been there before, explored the realms of consciousness, you've walked the planes, experiencing the divine directly. And you're not learning how to ascend, acquiring new knowledge. You're remembering how to return, reconnecting with your true nature. You're not becoming spiritual, embarking on a new path. You've always been that, a spark of the divine. You're just peeling away the interference, removing the obstacles that have obscured your true nature. This is what they try to erase with dogma and doctrine, religious conditioning that stifles individual expression. Your ability to access the divine directly, to receive downloads from source without a middleman, to heal, to know, to travel, to connect without permission, all the inherent powers of the human spirit. It's not a new age, a trend that will fade with time. It's ancient, a timeless truth that has been whispered throughout the ages. It's yours, a birthright waiting to be claimed. And the moment you stop looking outside yourself and start tuning your own instrument, consciously directing your energy, the signal comes in loud and clear, a flood of divine guidance, because you were never disconnected, just distracted, lost in the illusion of separation. The current has always been flowing, a constant stream of divine energy. Thoth just left you the map to remember how to plug back in, reconnecting with your true source. The law of one. You've been conditioned to believe you're alone, a singular identity cut off from everything around you. An isolated mind adrift in a chaotic world. An isolated mind, a separate self fighting for meaning in a chaotic world, a relentless struggle against the odds. That's the illusion, a carefully constructed lie sold to you through culture, education, media, and language, shaping your perception of reality. The truth? You've never been separate, never truly alone. Not from others, not from nature, not even from the stars, all interconnected through the web of consciousness. Thoth didn't whisper about unity, a vague concept to be admired from afar. He declared it, a fundamental truth governing the universe. He taught the law of one, that all consciousness at its core is one field, one presence expressing itself through many forms, a symphony of creation. And the moment you accept this, not as theory but as truth, embodying it in your daily life, everything begins to shift, transforming your perception of reality. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of circumstance, powerless in the face of adversity. You start seeing yourself as a co-expression of the source, a participant in the grand cosmic dance. Every person you meet, a mirror reflecting aspects of yourself. Every experience, a message guiding you on your path. There is no other. Just different angles of the same light, different frequencies of the same song, a kaleidoscope of consciousness. And when you tune into that unity, resonating with the interconnectedness of all things, the noise of division fades, the illusion of separation dissolves. The fear of comparison dissolves, releasing the need to compete with others. The endless competition loses its grip, freeing you from the relentless pursuit of external validation. Because how can you compete with yourself? How can you judge what is simply another version of you walking a different path, exploring a different facet of existence? This isn't about passivity, surrendering to the forces of darkness. It's not a call to ignore the darkness in the world, pretending that everything is perfect. It's about remembering that even the shadow is part of the same whole, an integral part of the tapestry of creation. That even your worst mistakes, your greatest fears, your most painful losses were all part of the spiral bringing you back to yourself, guiding you towards wholeness. The law of one doesn't mean everything is pleasant, a utopian vision devoid of challenges. It means everything is purposeful, a carefully orchestrated dance of creation and destruction. And that the separation you've been sold was never real, a carefully crafted illusion. It was programmed, implanted in your mind from a young age, because a united people cannot be controlled, resistant to manipulation and propaganda. Division is how empires are built, how identities are manufactured, how fear is weaponized, fracturing society and weakening its collective power. If you're always looking for someone to blame, projecting your anger and frustration outward, you'll never look inward, confronting your own shadows. If you're convinced the enemy is out there, a constant threat to your safety and security, you'll never realize the power is in here, within your own consciousness. Thoth knew that unity isn't weakness, a naive surrender to the forces of evil. It's the foundation of true strength, a resilience that cannot be broken. A kind of strength that doesn't come from domination but from coherence, aligning your will with the divine. Alignment, harmony, a symphony of interconnectedness. You've tasted this before, glimpsing the underlying unity of all things. In moments of silence, when the mind quiets and the ego dissolves, in deep presence with someone you love, experiencing a connection that transcends words, in the unspoken understanding between strangers, a shared humanity that binds us together. It's a feeling, not a fact, a visceral knowing that transcends intellectual understanding, a memory, not a concept, a spark of recognition within your soul. You were born with it, this innate understanding of unity, and the world taught you to forget, to label, to separate, to compete, reinforcing the illusion of separation. But even as you followed the script, conforming to societal expectations, something inside you resisted, a quiet rebellion against the forces of control. That ache for something deeper, a yearning for connection and meaning. That's your soul remembering where it came from, the source of all creation. The law of one doesn't erase individuality, stifling creativity and expression. It enhances it, celebrating the unique contribution of each individual. When you realize we're all fractals of the same source, unique expressions of the divine, you stop trying to fit into someone else's box, conforming to societal expectations. You stop seeking validation, releasing the need for external approval. You start honoring your own unique frequency, embracing your authentic self. Not because it's better, but because it's yours, a vital part of the cosmic symphony. And in doing that, you unconsciously give others permission to do the same, inspiring them to embrace their true selves. That's how the shift happens, not through force, but through frequency, a ripple effect spreading through the web of consciousness. Thoth wasn't speaking to the ego, the limited sense of self. He was speaking to the soul, the eternal spark of the divine. To the part of you that knows you've lived 1,000 lives in 1,000 forms, a vast tapestry of experience. To the part that sees no enemy, only evolution, understanding the cyclical nature of time, no stranger, only self, recognizing the interconnectedness of all beings. And once you truly grasp that, embodying the law of one in your daily life, fear dies, dissolving the illusion of separation. Because you stop seeing life as something happening to you, a series of random events beyond your control. You start seeing it as something happening through you, with you, for you, a conscious participation in the unfolding of creation, not separate from the universe, an isolated entity, but as the universe becoming conscious of itself through your eyes, experiencing the fullness of its own being. Unity isn't just the future, a distant utopia to be strived for. It's the truth that's always been beneath the illusion, the foundation of all existence. You don't need to seek it, searching for something outside yourself. You need to remember it, reconnecting with the truth that resides within. And that remembering begins. Remembering begins now, in this very moment. There's a reason you've never heard Thoth's teachings in school, a deliberate omission designed to control the masses. Why the Emerald Tablets aren't part of your curriculum, excluded from mainstream education. Why no one ever sat you down and said, "Here, this is how the universe really works," sharing the ancient wisdom. Because if they had, the world you live in would fall apart, crumbling under the weight of its own illusions. Not from violence or chaos, a dramatic overthrow of the system, but from awakening, a quiet revolution of consciousness, from people remembering what they were. So if there's one thing I hope you take away from all of this, it's this. You are so much more than you've been led to believe. The power to shape your reality, to connect with the divine, to remember your true nature, it's all within you, waiting to be awakened. Thoth's message, passed down through the ages, isn't a set of rules to follow, but a series of keys to unlock the incredible potential that already exists inside. It's a reminder that you're not just a speck in the universe, but a vital, integral part of it. Now, I'd love to hear what resonated with you the most. What questions did this spark? What experiences have you had that align with these teachings? Leave a comment down below and let's start a conversation. We're all on this journey together, learning and growing. And your insights could be exactly what someone else needs to hear. And if you found this message inspiring and want to delve deeper into these mysteries, be sure to subscribe. We'll be exploring more ancient wisdom, unlocking the secrets of consciousness, and breaking free from the limitations of the system. Don't miss out on future videos that can help you remember who you truly are.